This video is going to be filling in the section number 4 of your Unit 4, Unit 5 flipbook. It's the bottom flap of section number 4, and the title of this section is Converting Forms. And what we're going to be doing is, I think this is both review for you guys. We're not going to cover the new one yet on the top. So look at the bottom squares of the bottom flap of section 4. We're going to review how to convert vertex form to standard form. We've done that already. And then we're going to go over how to convert intercept form to standard form. Remember, class, standard form gives us two things that vertex form and intercept form do not. And the first thing is it gives us the velocity of a projectile, something that's sent up in the air, that we're graphing height over time. It gives us the velocity or initial velocity in the b value, and it gives us the initial or starting height in the c value. So there are times we'll want to convert a vertex form or an intercept form quadratic to standard form so we can find those things. So let's review. We've done this before, how to convert a vertex form to standard form. This was in your last flipbook. Let's go ahead and write an example equation. Let's see, I'm going to do y equals -2, there's our a value, and then x plus 3, that gives us a -3 for h, squared, minus 5, and there's our k value. So let's go ahead and go through the math steps of distribution to actually convert this to standard form. First thing we have to do is recognize that the x plus 3 squared just means x plus 3 times x plus 3. Be careful, class. Don't try to distribute the -2 into this binomial until you square it. I noticed on the last test some of you were putting the -2 into this, and that is not correct. That's not the correct steps. So we're going to write the -2. And let's just rewrite this. Sorry, I got a little electronic delay. There we go. -2 times x plus 3 times x plus 3. You have to expand the exponent first. Now we can go ahead and start our distribution process. The -2 is distributed into the x plus 3. -2 times x is -2x. -2 plus 3 is -6. And now we've taken that first coefficient, that a value, we plugged it into the first binomial, and now we just write our second binomial. And some of you also forgetting to carry that constant down. Keep that into your solution until you get to the very end and you can combine it. Alright, next step is to combine the binomials, and we've used distribution for this. We're going to take the -2x and distribute it to the second binomial, x plus 3. Then we're going to take the -6. Now some of you are forgetting to write this sign right here. We're not just taking 6 and move it over, it's 6 plus the sign that goes with it. So in this case, -6 times x plus 3. And now we'll go ahead and bring down the -5. Next step, we'll distribute the monomials into the binomials. So we've got -2x times x is -2x squared. -2x times positive 3 is -6x. -6x times x is also -6x. -6 times positive 3 is -18. And then we bring down the -5. Now class, this is your check step. Take a look at these two middle terms, the ones with just the single variable with no exponent, or the exponent of 1. Those are the same coefficients. That means it looks like we're on track. Let's go ahead and finalize our equation. I'm going to bring y down now. Y equals -2x squared. -6x minus 6x is -12x. And then we can also combine the two constants, -18 and -5. -18 minus 5 is -23. So there is our final answer. And now we've converted vertex form to standard form. A value is -2. Notice that did not change from our vertex form. The b value is negative 12. If this were a projectile motion question, that would be your starting velocity. I'll tell you right now, class, logically this must not be projectile motion because we're not going to have a negative velocity. And then the negative 23 is the c value. All right, let's do the next one. Write down this essential question. Oh, by the way, make sure you wrote down your first essential question. How do I convert vertex form to standard form? Second essential question, how do I convert intercept form to standard form? Let's go ahead and write an intercept form quadratic. I'm going to go ahead and write this as y equals negative 2. Let's go ahead and pick x plus 4. And the next part will be, let's do 2x minus 3. This is now an intercept form. If you want to help yourself to figure out which one is vertex and which one is intercept, you just have to remember vertex form 1 has h and k in it. Number 2, it only has one set of parentheses. Intercept form, let's do a little note here so you guys see this. Intercept form is going to have 2 sets of parentheses. Vertex form is going to have 1 set of parentheses. And standard form is not going to have any parentheses. All right, let's go ahead and do our next step. Well, now look, class, we already got to the point where we can start doing our distribution. The negative 2 is going to distribute into the x plus 4. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times positive 4 is negative 8. That puts a into our first binomial. Now we can just carry down our second binomial. And let's go ahead and start distributing, or continue distributing. The negative 2x is going to get distributed to the second binomial, 2x minus 3. And then the negative 8 is going to be distributed also to the second binomial. Next step is to distribute the monomials to the binomials. So now we have negative 2x times 2x. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. And x times x is x squared. Negative 2x times negative 3, well, that turns to positive 6x. The next step, negative 8 times 2x is negative 16x. And negative 8 times negative 3 turns to be positive 24. Now take a look at this step, class. Notice we can't use, let me fix this for real quick. We can't use the same check step that we did when we were converting vertex form, because vertex form always has the same binomial written twice, since that binomial is squared. That's where we can check our 2 middle terms here. It doesn't happen, typically does not happen with intercept form, so there is no check step here. Okay, last step, let's go ahead and combine our like terms. The only like terms we have are the ones in the middle, right here. Positive 6x and negative 16x. So our final solution is going to be y equals negative 4x squared, positive 6x minus 16. So in your calculator, put in 6 minus 16. You're going to get negative 10. Don't forget the variable, that stays with it. And then we have a positive 24 on the end. So converting this intercept form to standard form gives us y equals negative 4x squared minus 10x plus 24.